Thank you. Thank you to our Northern Brass Ensemble. And now we're going to start our program. We're going to have our brass ensemble play the national anthem. They've got that ready, so everybody stand up, take your caps off, and we'll get going. Nice, thank you, thank you. And as our brass ensemble moves off to the side, I'm going to invite up our Central High School NASA Native American Student Association. They're going to play the Lakota Drum Song, which is normally a song that you play alongside of the national anthem. It has the same sentiment to it. They're called the Brave Eagles. You missed a music stand. Thank you. I just want to say thank you to Gordon Treetop for bringing his students today. Oh yeah, yep, and we all stand again. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing with us. Thank you. All right. I'm live streaming because I can do that. All right. All right. So my name is Patricia Kendall. I'm the Dakota Prairie Museum Director and also the co-chair of the America 250 committee here in Aberdeen. And so on behalf of that committee and the museum, I extend a very warm welcome to you to be here today, and heartfelt thanks for joining us in 45 degree weather. Really appreciate that. But you know, it's South Dakota and it's April and it's not snowing and it's not windy, so it's actually pretty nice today right now. I'd like to start by expressing my thanks to several key contributors. First of all, the Aberdeen Parks Department, thank you very much. Every time we ask them to do something, very cheerfully obliged, and we ask them to do a lot this weekend. Not just digging up, but time capsule, but quite a few other things too, and really appreciate them. And then also our speakers today, our musicians, the vendors that came out. It's a great day for ice cream. I hope you go over there. And also my America 250 committee members, but especially my museum staff who have worked nonstop since yesterday morning at 8 o'clock on this project. So, and they're doing a great job. So thank you. So it is a privilege and an honor to be a part of my institution, this institution, whose mission and purpose is to preserve and share the stories of the Dakota Prairie and its inhabitants. We take that calling seriously, and I'm excited for you to witness our dedication later today, or if you haven't already. So what is America 250? So on July 4th, 1776, on July 4th, 2026, the United States will celebrate its 250th anniversary, or semi-quincentennial. Would you all like to try saying that with me? Semi-quincentennial. See, that's easy, but it took a while for me. Yep. So that's the 250th. That's what we're called here. And so it marks the signing of the Declaration of Independence, July 4th, 1776. The South Dakota America 250 Commission is encouraging all of the towns and cities in South Dakota to participate and have like civic engagement and have projects and activities, and this is the kickoff for us here in Aberdeen, just as we're doing today. We have a variety of activities planned for Aberdeen to commemorate this milestone. This event is just the beginning, and it just happens to coincide with the Zonta 1976 time capsule, which we will discuss further on today. During the Bicentennial, the Zonta International Aberdeen chapter undertook a pretty big effort here to collect over 200 packages from families, businesses, clubs, churches, schools, with contributions coming from far away from Mobridge. We'll hear more about that story and history of that from Mr. Bakken today. 2026 is truly an auspicious year for Aberdeen because Storybook Land is celebrating its 50th anniversary, along with the ARC, the Aberdeen Recreation Cultural Center, and Arts in the Park, which is an arts festival that's right here, is turning 50 this year. And also, did you know, in 1976, the Aberdeen Boys and Girls Club first admitted girls. So I guess they were just the Boys Club before, but now they're the Boys and Girls Club since then. We've come a long way since then. I have vivid memories of the Bicentennial as a young child. It seemed like there were activities and events everywhere. We were also celebrating the Spirit of 76. Do we remember the Spirit of 76? That was a big deal. There were stickers everywhere, posters everywhere, which harkened back to the 1776, the founding of our nation. It was a time, 1976, I would say. Oh no, let's go back to 1776, when if you could choose between freedom or treason, and it really wasn't much in between, so they chose freedom, and here we are today. But for me, Spirit of 76 kind of represents 1976, as a young child because I had my whole family with me. And I felt like my community and my neighborhood took care of me. And those are fond memories for me. So as we begin our America 250 celebration this year, I hope that that same spirit inspires all of us anew to support and care for one another, to uplift our neighbors, and to respond to the call for need wherever we see it. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being part of our community. I appreciate you coming out, as I said before. And we have a series of speakers. And the first one I'm going to introduce is Travis Shoneman, our mayor. Where is he? Oh, there he is. Yeah. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. Appreciate you, that introduction. If you guys haven't been to the museum, the Dakota Prairie Museum downtown, she does such a wonderful job with that. This is just a sideline thing for her, the 250 kickoff. So let's give her a round of applause for the museum. Such a wonderful asset for the community. So good afternoon, everyone. It's great to see so many people here to celebrate the 250th birthday of America. 250 years is a lot of generations of people that worked together to build something special. You know, people that showed up, they worked hard, they worked together, certainly didn't always agree, certainly always didn't see eye to eye on things, but they got through it, they pushed forward, and they made America what it is today. We are so fortunate to have been born here. Every time I get a chance to tell young people, speak to young people, I always tell them, you won the genetic lottery by being born here in America. It's not perfect, but the level of opportunity that exists here in America, the freedom to build a life, to take a chance, if you fail, to pick up the pieces and start again, not possible anywhere else in the world like it is here. And those opportunities still exist here today. We're a republic. We're grounded in the idea that the power of America ultimately relies on the people. And that doesn't happen by accident. It happens through generations that choose to perpetuate that year after year. Now, we live in a time where it's so easy to focus on what is wrong. You hear it every day, criticisms, frustrations, division. But there's something really important to remember. Even with all of that, there are people across the entire world that are literally dying to get here. People always talk, oh, I'm going to leave America, but they aren't doing it. People are doing their best from across the world to come here, not just to big cities, but to places like Aberdeen. We see it in our own community, people from across the world choosing to build their lives here, to raise families here and start businesses here. That to me tells me that the promise of this country still matters. You know, Aberdeen has something worth being proud of. This is a place where rugged individualism still means something, and if you're willing to work and to take a risk, you can make something meaningful here in Aberdeen. We've seen that story play out time and time again in the business community here, from super success stories like the world's largest glove company, Wells Lamont, being founded here, Super 8, Dakota Bank, the modern day successes like World Classrooms. These things don't come from big systems, top-down planning. They come from people with ideas and initiatives and the drive to push them forward. And that is really the American model. It's alive and well here in Aberdeen. America is changing. You know, every generation sees change. That's just part of the deal. You know, we evolve, and that's the one thing that really doesn't change. But this is the most prosperous nation in the world, the most innovative, the most opportunity-rich place to be. And that doesn't mean we sit back and assume that's the way it will always be. It means we have to take ownership, because 250 years didn't just happen, it was built. It was built by communities like Aberdeen, South Dakota, by people who choose to invest here, that serve here, to lead here, to raise their families here. And that to me is really what this celebration is all about. We're looking back, but we're also looking forward. I had one more, there we go. What do we want America to look like in 10 years, in 20 years, in 250 years? What kind of a community do we want Aberdeen, South Dakota to be for the next generation? That's the big question. It starts with showing up, taking responsibility, believing that what happens here locally matters beyond our borders. Every strong country is built on a series of strong communities, and Aberdeen, South Dakota is one of those communities. As we kick off the 250 celebration, my hope is that we approach it with gratitude, responsibility. We've all been given a lot. It's our turn to build on the 250 years that we've been given. So thank you all for being here. I'm excited to share this milestone together with all of you. God bless America and God bless Aberdeen. Thank you.
Just, I told them all 5 to 7 minutes apiece. And I think we're keeping them in line here, so this is great. And so then our next speaker then is Dave McNeil. He's our newly appointed city manager. And thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. It's my honor to be here today. And I represent the team with the city, and I appreciate the turnout that we have. And I realize that, as we move our way and we're looking at the time capsule, things happen that we can't anticipate sometimes. But I really want to speak to the spirit of why we have the time capsule and this moment. And okay, thank you. In the spirit of why we're here. Can we hear me better? Yeah. All right, awesome. So in 1976, I was 7 years old. And when you're 7 years old, you don't really understand the significance of time. Sadly, 50 years down the road, you're thinking about where did time go and how fast it really moves. And that's kind of a thing that gains you a lot of perspective, and you have a lot of wisdom with that. So what I'd like to say right out of the start is that we've been blessed to live in one of the greatest countries and communities in the world. As a celebration of freedom and liberty, the festivity of this moment cannot be taken for granted. In the 250-year struggle to bring us to this moment, what we're celebrating here today has been built on faith, undaunted courage, sacrifice, hardship, resiliency, patriotism, and hard work. In moments like this, we must always remember our veterans, patriots, pioneers, Native American ancestors, and those whose strength and steadiness built our country and community to the place and time we currently hold. The time capsule represents a safe deposit box to secure and hold dear our history, community, and country. As we stand here today, this time-traveling vessel contains the representation of our heritage, culture, values, work ethic, and sense of pride, and ultimately our faith and bond with our community and with one another. I believe that our benefactors placed this capsule on a voyage to the future with the hopes and dreams that this capsule would be opened in a place in time in Aberdeen where Aberdeen would be thriving, safe, and in a benevolent community where future generations of their families would still have a community where a child can dream any dream and reach their full potential with the continued pride in their community and nation, and with the recognition that they are the recipients of the greatest efforts and sacrifices of our ancestors, allowing us to pursue our life, liberty, and happiness. A famous writer, James A. Michener, once wrote, "If a man happens to find himself, he has a mansion which he can inhabit with dignity all the days of his life." This time capsule and the spirit behind it helps us find ourselves and reminds us that Aberdeen and our country are mansions built on an incredible legacy of amazing people who made incredible contributions and sacrifices, placing us again at the starting line of a 250-year-old race where the time capsule is a baton handed off to us with the expectation that the leg of the race that we're currently entrusted to run will be a lap that we'll run with an ever-present focus and determination and courage to continue to do the best that we can and stay on the true path of our faith, freedom, sacrifice, inclusion, benevolence, and patriotism. And with that, Aberdeen, I just want to say thank you for giving me a few moments to give a few remarks, and with that, Godspeed.
All right, thank you. And next up we have Mike Weiss. He's our county commission representation on this event. And I know you'll be able to hear him because he's very good at talking.
Thanks, Patricia. And I'm going to be, excuse me, very brief. And my good friend Travis and Dave are both much better prepared than I am today, because I usually speak what's on my mind and from the heart. And this is a glorious moment. I give you all a great round of appreciation for being here today. 250 years for our country from when it was founded with the independence. And this is just the beginning, as Patricia said. Brown County was founded 145 years ago, so this part of the country is relatively new in comparison, and everything is relative to the time frame that you're in. But things change, and that's the only constant in life. I happen to be a collector, and I have an obscene collection of photographs of South Dakota history from about 125 years ago, and it's incredible to go through that collection and look and reflect about what's changed over that period of time and how we've all worked together in order to try and improve our situation, our neighbors' situation, work through hardship that we've all encountered that comes to us in a variety of different ways, from what Mother Nature does to us to a whole variety of different things. But it's important that we cooperate, we get together, and as Dave mentioned, we don't always agree, but it's important that we be civil with each other and that we try and work through the issues as best we can. And I've been fortunate enough to represent people of Brown County for over 30 years, and that's something we take to heart, my fellow commissioners, as well as the cooperation we have between the city and the county and the state officials and so forth. This is where the rubber meets the road in modern day society with that, and that's something that's gotten us to where we're at with the history of our country and our region to this point. And it's really important to continue to do that, because that responsibility is important to go back and look at and appreciate and understand. But that responsibility hasn't ended. That responsibility continues today, tomorrow, in the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And I'm fortunate enough this time, so far as I know, I'm up for re-election, but I don't have an election, but there's several others that are. And there's important decisions that get made by people who represent. And it's really important, and you're probably speaking, I'm probably speaking to the choir here, because I would suspect that most all of you are registered to vote and are going to vote in the primary election if you can, and in the general election. But we need to take a better responsibility for doing that going forward, because that's part of what's gotten us here, is people who took that responsibility seriously to get us that opportunity, and we need to take better advantage of that, quite frankly, in order going forward. But this is a great day to remember. Unfortunately, circumstances, Mother Nature does what it does, so it's put some damage to the time capsule and the items that are in it, but it doesn't change at all the significance of the thoughts and the memories and the things that people put into that to remember, and then all of you gathering today to remember those things and to share your story about where you're from, what that means to you, as well as the vision for where we can go forward together with that. And I think that's a really glorious thing. And I appreciate Travis is right. The things that happen that we support at the Prairie Museum are really important, and it's a good opportunity to reflect, educate our young people, but also ourselves. There's always something there to learn. So avail yourself of that. Enjoy the rest of your day. 250 years, and there's more to come. God bless America, and God bless all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. I believed you when you said you could wing it, and you did. So, and also, just the Dakota Prairie Museum is a department of Brown County, so I'm a county employee. But we work, like you said, very well with the city, and we're really good partners with them. So I'm going to introduce our next speaker, Mr. Stephen Bakken. He's actually a retired educator from Blue Earth, Minnesota, but in 1976 he was the 5th grade teacher at Mobridge, and he brought his class here when they buried the time capsule. And I would argue that he was the most excited person to be here out of everyone that I spoke with. And he got a chance to see his package as well when he was over there too. So I'd like to invite Mr. Bakken. Thank you. He's a teacher, you'll be able to hear him.
My name is Steve Bakken. It rhymes with Rockenbakken. I have been to all 50 states, 3 World's Fairs, and with my wife and our children to countless concerts and countries and events. And 50 years ago today, I was right here to help plant the Zonta time capsule. Oh, please, please. I am an Army brat. I was born at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, to a paratrooper. And when my dad got out of the service, my mother and he and I landed here in the pheasant capital of the world. We first lived above Lacey's ice cream shop in an apartment, and then we got a house, or they got a house at 706 North Jackson. And I would imagine that the Historical Society is going to declare that a historic site, right? We should, yeah, they should. I went to Tiffany Elementary School. I went to Monroe Junior High School. And then I never knew that to get claps, all right. And then in 1970, I graduated from Aberdeen Central. Go Eagles! Then I went to Northern State College to get a teaching degree. Yay, Gypsy Day! Then I got my first teaching job in Mobridge, South Dakota. Mobridge is a beautiful community on the banks of the Missouri River in the shadow of the Standing Rock Indian Reservation and Sitting Bull's grave. And it was in that context that I came home to Aberdeen for Christmas of 1975 to celebrate it with my parents, Cliff and Alice Bakken, my little brother Tom Bakken, and my little sister Christy Lee Bakken Putnam. And at Christmas time, my mother said, well, you know, oh, she didn't talk like that, but I will for this. Well, you know, the Zonta Club, and I had no idea what that was, is going to bury a time capsule for the Bicentennial. I had no idea about that, but she knew a woman, Nyla Rude, who was affiliated. So I sat at my parents' kitchen table, opened a phone book, and used my parents' phone in the kitchen, and I called Nyla Rude. Come on over, she said, I'll sell you a time capsule. I don't know how much they were. So I went to Nyla Rude's home, and she gave me a square white Tupperware box, and then she gave me a coupon to claim it whenever they would open it. And by the way, that coupon is, when I left Mobridge years later and went to Minnesota to teach, I donated all of my teaching things, including that coupon, to the Klein Museum. So while my box is here in this county, my claim for it is in the Klein Museum in Walter. You can work that out. And then Mrs. Rude said several things. She said, first of all, make sure the lid is airtight. Nothing can stick out. Secondly, it has to weigh less than 5 pounds. Got it? Got it. Well, she didn't talk like that either, but I'm talking like that. So then and then on January 1st, 1976, I did 3 things. First of all, I began growing a Bicentennial mustache and Elvis sideburns. And did I look cool? Well, of course, that answers itself. Second thing I did was I began keeping a daily diary. This is my 50th year of keeping a daily diary, so I'm going to write about all of these people. I'll be kind, maybe. Then I got in my blue 1969 Ford Fairlane with no seatbelts and no radio, and I drove back to Mobridge. And from January through April of 1976, my 5th graders and I planned on what we would do to put in a time capsule. How would we want to be remembered? And I happened to be here today when they opened my box 146. And I'd forgotten a lot of the things that we put in there, but I see that I had our students, I had them each write an autobiography. I had them each write predictions for the future. We had family slides. We had a little vial of water that my students had gathered from the Missouri River, etc. And so then on April 25th, 1976, my students and their parents brought our 4.5-pound box from Mobridge here, where we helped plant a time capsule as one of 206 boxes. And the site was over there, and the time capsule was a burial vault painted in red, white, and blue, donated by Mr. Ron Ankerhofer. And we all watched and held our breath as he closed the lid and then knelt, and he slowly cranked, I'm not going to kneel, I'm just pretending I'm kneeling, went down with the time capsule. It was wonderful. I filmed that with my Super 8 camera, and I'm going to have a copy of that and donate it to the Dakota Prairie Museum. So then my students and their parents Went over to Jackson Street where my family hosted a picnic. And that was that. You know, I grew up in a different America than it is today. I grew up in a different Aberdeen in the 50s and 60s. The biggest memory I have as a child in Aberdeen were the trains. There were always trains. You could hear them, you could smell them, and there were so many train tracks in Aberdeen that if you looked at the town from the sky, they were like the spokes of a wheel, and Aberdeen was the hub. That's how it got its name, Hub City. And back then, if you were on a bicycle or in a car or in a truck, and you were on Dakota or State or Klein or Maine, and a train came through, or 2 trains or 3 or sometimes 4, you sat there forever. And then the railroad and Brown County and the city of Aberdeen put in an overhead pass on 2nd Street. Freedom. My boss also lived on 2nd Street. It was the Aberdeen American News. For my junior high and senior high years, I was a paper boy, and every day, rain or shine, blistering heat or blizzards, I delivered 90 papers every day. And I had to collect also every 2 weeks money for those subscribers and turn it into the newspaper. And for that, I got paid a penny a day. So I worked for 2 hours a day and got 90 cents. But that was a lot of money for me. And I saved my money, I worked hard, and I bought a banana seat bike from a bike shop on North Main. I now had freedom, especially in the summer. And the rule at our house was I could stay out in the summer till the street lights came on, and then I had to be home. I used my bike to go out to Wiley Lake, which is now the backdrop for the storybook land. I used to bike to the swimming pool over here, and I would park my bike by a big turtle statue. I had my first, in 7th grade, I had my first tennis lessons at brand new tennis courts over here at Milgard Park, which also used to have a green snack shack. That's now gone. A fun time for me growing up, though, in Aberdeen was when I earned something with moolah money. Now, for a period of time in the early 60s, DeVries Dairy had moolah money, in which they would put Hopalong Cassidy's picture on milk cartons and milk caps. And my family got milk cartons from DeVries Dairy. I saved the Hopalong Cassidy pictures, took them down to the Aberdeen Chamber of Commerce, and traded them in for moolah money, which you could spend anywhere in Aberdeen. But back then, there was just the central business district. There was no super city, there was no uptown mall. And I took my moolah money and I went down to the toy chest on Main Street by the Capitol Theater, and I bought a Monopoly game. I was 12 years old, and it was 1964, and that Monopoly game is still in the Bakken home today. My favorite time, though, growing up in Aberdeen were crazy days. I loved them. They would shut down Main Street. The stores would put out all their junk to get rid of. And I remember that Malchow's furniture store used to have a big bale of hay in front that you could use to die for coins. I didn't know that would get a laugh. Either the hay or the furniture mart. A member of the Aberdeen Chamber of Commerce on every hour in the top of the hour would go to the top of the Sherman Hotel on Main Street and throw off paper plates to which coupons had been stapled. But the most memorable moment for me growing up happened to me when I was 11 years old in September of 1963. I learned that a woman gave birth to 5 babies all at once. My goodness! And later on in that fall, my mother, father, sister, brother, and I stood in front of J.C. Penney's on Main Street and watched the parade go through honoring the Fisher quintuplets. And I remember somebody during the parade would hand out little baby pins, 4 pink and 1 blue. I can also remember driving past a sign, billboards outside of Aberdeen that said, "Welcome to Quint City, home of the Fisher Quints." But you know, all of that was then, and now is now. Now, I am 73. Back then, for the Bicentennial, I was 23. Back then, my students were 11. Now they're 61. Some are gone, some are grandparents. But in reflecting back to growing up here in this city, Aberdeen gave me and thousands of others the recipe for what it was like to become a decent American citizen. If you went to school, you stayed in, you didn't drop out. If you had a job, you showed up on time and stayed there and worked as best as you could, no matter what the job was. You paid your taxes. You honored our military. You kept God in your home. And by golly, when you saw the flag or heard the national anthem, you stood up with pride. My name is Steve Bach, and thank you for inviting me to help celebrate the 250th birthday of America, and God bless America. Thank you.
I told you he was the most excited to be here. So, all right. So thank you to my speakers, and thank you for sharing those thoughts with us. But also, talking about civic engagement and community spirit and collaborating with our neighbors, kind of to create the better place that kind of embodied that spirit of 76, and I think we can do that here in 26 as well. But I'm going to talk a little bit about the time capsule. In 2023, with the dissolution of the local Zonta chapter, the Dakota Prairie Museum became the custodian of that time capsule. Also the one that's at Wiley that will be opening in 2051. But as museum professionals, we're here to establish professional standards and ethical practices. And our goal has been to carefully catalog the time capsule contents, which we're doing over there, and to plan for the eventual distribution in a manner that honors the intent and aspirations of the Zonta group. When the Zonta ladies first conceived of a time capsule, they debated whether to set it for 25, 50, or 100 years. Their aim was to share a snapshot of daily life in 1976 with the future, while also creating like a meaningful connection across the generations. Ultimately, they chose 50 years, kind of to maintain that link, because in 50 years there would still be people, and you could still have a connection to the people who put it in there previously. They had good intentions. It was a wonderful idea, and they did a lot of work to make it happen. As you may have noticed, the geological conditions of the prairie beneath us are unpredictable. This landscape, which is shaped by a naturally high water table, and it poses challenges for long-term underground preservation. Therefore, we can't fully assess the condition of the individual contents until each box is meticulously opened, documented, evaluated. This process, much like the art of preserving history itself, requires patience, respect, and an unwavering commitment to do things properly and correct. So I want to commend the Zonta ladies for their dedication to upholding that spirit of 76 and for carrying that commitment forward to us today. Exactly 50 years later, it was buried April 25th, 1976. Zonta International's mission is to build a better world for women and girls. I think that has undoubtedly enriched us as a community, especially right here in Aberdeen. Because remember, it's now the Boys and Girls Club. Remember, I told you that before. Yeah. So I'm going to say thank you for being here and being part of Aberdeen's story, the past, present, and future. I invite you to witness our museum process as we go through each package, and you probably have already stepped over there and taken a look. Ask us questions. We are happy to share our knowledge and our commitment to preserving history, history of Brown County, history of Aberdeen. And also, please enjoy our food trucks. Yeah, So it's still 45 degrees, but there's ice cream. It's the Pet Rescue League. I want to shout out to them as well. And it's 605 Scoops, Pet Rescue League, and the Aberdeen Swim Team. And I hope that you support them. And then I want you to check out Aberdeen America 250 programming. I think I have it up on either side over here of all the events that we're going to have this year that the committee has been working on. There will be a 4th of July parade. And if you want to know what it takes to plan a parade, I now know. So I can help you with that if you need to do that. But I had got a lot of help from Northern State University. Don't worry, I know what I'm going to say. So they've been extremely helpful. We've just met so many nice partners through this America 250 committee process. So I want you to enjoy the rest of our time here. Please come and see what we're doing over here. Kind of pay your respects to the Time Capsule Vault. It did its best for 50 years. Yeah. And I want to just say again, thank you for coming, and thank you for showing that you also want to be part of this community and hear good things about it and do good things. So I, as a museum professional and museum director, ask you, let's go make history together as a community, and thank you, and happy America 250. So thank you. Okay. And Steve is taking pictures with anybody who would like to take a picture with him as well. Thank you.